everyone, it's Aimee Franklin here, the DA Youth's National Director. I'm sitting here in the Democratic Alliance's National Head Office boardroom, and I thought that I would just take a few minutes out of my day to chat to you briefly about the budget speech of yesterday and a few points contained in it that we as the DA Youth find particularly interesting and particularly relevant to young South Africans. The first of which, and it's something that we are incredibly excited about because we as the DA Youth have fought long and hard for its introduction, and that is the 5 billion rand that's being allocated to a youth wage subsidy. Those of you who followed our progress will know that we were in the Speaker's office in Parliament at the end of last year, handing over a memorandum and petitions lobbying for the introduction of a youth wage subsidy. And despite the fact that the ANC Youth League and COSATU were vehemently opposed to it, the Finance Minister has very bravely gone ahead and announced that 5 billion is being set aside for it. So we're very excited about that. According to our calculations, it could stand to create up to 17,000 new jobs a month for young South Africans. And of course, it's really going to act as an incentive to business to give an opportunity to young people who may not have extensive experience and really just once again, open the doors to skills and opportunity for all young South Africans. So that's the first and what we consider the most exciting development out of the speech of yesterday. Another element which isn't as exciting but is also very relevant is the announcement that 1.22 billion rand over the next 3 years has been allocated to the National Youth Development Agency. Now, those of you who follow the media will know that we've had a very checkered history with the NYDA. I personally resigned from their Provincial Advisory Board here in the Western Cape last year because I could certainly no longer condone the kind of wasteful expenditure that was happening within the organization. We're very worried about the fact that they've been allocated this amount of money, not because youth development isn't important, it's one of the most important priorities of government, and so it should be, but the NYDA have only managed to reach 33% of the targets that were set for them in the last financial year, all the while their ANC Youth League dominated executive earned salaries of 11 million rand a year. The CEO, who's also very conveniently the ANC Youth League Secretary General, earns 1.8 million rand a month, or a year, which is more than what a cabinet minister earns. You'll remember the NYDA most recently from their hosting of the World Festival of Youth and Students, which was actually an ANC Youth League event. So there's issue number one in terms of conflation between party and state. But they were spending 100 million rand on what was ostensibly a drinking and partying week for the ANC Youth League and radical youth organizations from around the world. And we as the DA Youth really feel that that money could go to other areas, for example, zero rating the VAT on textbooks, which would obviously go a long way to helping young South Africans on a very real level. So we'll be monitoring that situation very closely to see what ends up happening with that money, because we certainly can't afford to allow it to be put into the pockets of ANC Youth League executive members any longer. So those are just two brief highlights from yesterday's budget speech. They're certainly two areas that we find of interest, that I think all young South Africans would find of interest, and certainly two areas that we will track going into the future. Cool. Thanks, guys.